Hello, everyone, and welcome to Food Tank's webinar series. I apologize for the delay in us getting started. We had some technical difficulties this morning, but my name is Sarah Small, and I'm Food Tank's Chief of Staff, and thanks for hanging around. I'm really excited about today's webinar with Neil Bloomquist. He is the Managing Director in the United States of the Natural Habitats Group. Neil has also had a long career in the natural foods industry, from his roots as the owner of a natural food stores in Kalispell, Montana, to helping shape organic certification guidelines in the United States, to holding the post of President and Chief Executive Officer for Spectrum Organic Products. Today, Neil's presentation will discuss palm oil, and he'll begin to answer the questions: can palm oil be grown and produced sustainably, and what are the true costs of doing so? This webinar will be recorded and posted on foodtank.com afterwards. You can also follow along and participate on Twitter using #FoodTank. Also, please do submit your questions using the chat box in your control panel, or email them to me, Sarah, S-A-R-A-H, @foodtank.com. So without further ado, Neil, it's wonderful to have you here today, and I'm excited to hear your presentation. I'll give you the floor now.
Thank you, Sarah. It's nice to be able to have the opportunity to tell this story. The palm oil story really began back in the 50s and 60s when the food scientists figured out how to turn liquid oils that could be grown in the United States, like soybean and corn and sunflower and safflower and so on, and turn it into a hard fat through hydrogenation. And as a result of that science and a lot of lobbying by food scientists and the food industry, tropical oils were essentially pushed out of the United States market, and they had been used for many years as a alternative to hard fats from dairy products and from meat, as an alternative for various products from spreads and sauces and so on. And for many, many years, all tropical fats were considered to be really bad fats for health, and were essentially not available in any form in the United States. When I was CEO of Spectrum, and I really got a chance to study the truth about saturates and the role that they play, especially plant saturates, I started to understand the other side of the story. And in 2002, I had the opportunity to work with a supplier of organic palm oil out of Colombia to introduce the first organic palm oil into the United States in a partnership with Spectrum. And we introduced organic palm oil for sale in bulk form to bakeries and food processors. And we also developed the first organic palm shortening for consumers, and that product is still sold under the Spectrum brand in the United States market. And it's an alternative to Crisco and butter and so on for baking, and a very popular product with consumers now that the whole palm oil story is being told in a different way from the health side. I think what's important to understand, and maybe we can go to slide 2, Sarah, the palm oil is so prevalent in the United States food and personal care and soap markets. It's in so many products that we use, and the average consumer doesn't understand that it's one of those ingredients that is so prolific in the food supply and in the supply on the cosmetics and personal care and home care products, that it's something that is important that we understand what the supply chain represents and where the problems are and what some of the solutions are. And when you look at how palm oil in its predominant amount, where it's grown and where it's processed, which is in Malaysia and Indonesia, there are a lot of problems with that supply chain. And the NGOs have done a great job of getting that information out to the public, and rightly so, because there's a lot of things that are being done in parts of the world in how palm oil is grown and produced that is a real problem. And what we have been doing at Natural Habitats is finding a solution through the way that palm oil is produced, the way that it's processed, the way that it goes to market. And one of the things that has been my personal, I would say, mission is to try to tell the other side of the story, because it is an amazing story. Palm oil is one of the most sustainable sources of fat that can be grown on the planet. And slide 2 describes how much palm oil can be produced on a hectare of land compared to other fats. And the efficiency of palm oil in terms of what it can produce on a per hectare basis or per acre basis by comparison is tremendous. And aside from the benefit that comes from land use in parts of the world where palm oil is grown, South America, anywhere around the equator is essentially where it's grown. There are a lot of farmers in the world that depend on palm oil as a source of income for their farming. It's a very productive source of income for them. And what we're finding is that when we work with small farms in Ecuador, the application of organic growing methods increases yield tremendously. It provides the farmers with a whole new approach to looking at how the land can be productive by teaching them how to create living soil. We have agronomists that are in the field every day working with the farmers to teach them how to grow other things on their farms, because you can do a lot more when you're growing organically to do multi-cropping versus just growing palm. So it has all these upside benefits, and that story is not being told. Maybe we can go through some other slides here, Sarah, to talk about some of the benefits. You know, we are really trying to promote the nutritional side of palm oil that is not refined, called red palm, is one of the highest sources of beta carotene and vitamin E of any oil that's found. So we have been with our branded partners promoting red palm oil as a culinary oil that can be used in the kitchen every day. The next slide talks about what makes natural habitats palm oil different. All of the palm oil that's produced for the U.S. market is coming from Ecuador. There are 130 small family farms that are producing the oil. It's not a large plantation kind of growing situation. There's a dedicated mill to press the oil that is 100% organic in everything that moves through that plant. It's located right near the farms, so there's fresh oil being produced every day. Minimal processing is being done to make it in a form that can be brought into the U.S. market and used for a variety of applications in the organic food industry, from cookies to crackers, all kinds of snack products. It's an excellent oil for frying, for chips, popcorn, just about anything in that realm performs very well with palm oil. If we go to slide 5, this kind of compares palm done wrong to what we're doing on the palm done right side. None of the palm that's being grown in Ecuador is grown on habitat that is virgin rainforest. There's very strict laws in Ecuador that control and keep virgin rainforest from being turned into farmland. So all of the farms are second and third generation farms that have been in families for a long time. So it really protects the ecosystem and creates a habitat for animals and other plants to flourish very much in harmony with the rainforest. It's a very diverse ecosystem there. All of the programs around organic are about revitalization of the soil. We've got programs that turn byproducts from the pressing of the oil back into compost. So there's a lot of work being done with the farmers to enrich the soil there. The whole project is fair trade certified, which means that there are fair wages paid. There's a percentage of all of the sales that go back to the community. So there's been investments that have been made in social projects within those communities to help the local people. The other really exciting thing is that it increases the yields of the palm fruit from the farmers as they really get into growing organically, and the soil enrichment programs and so on are producing higher yields for the farmers, which is for them more income. And it also incentivizes them to look at organic as very much a part of where they see their future. If we go to slide 6, you can kind of see some of the impact that's going on with conflict, what we call conflict palm, and what's going on in Indonesia and Malaysia is very much controlled by very large corporate interests. And because Indonesia and Malaysia are difficult countries to control regulations, there have been attempts at trying to control regulations through a industry-sponsored program called RSPO. It is a certification program that has good intentions, but it's been very difficult to enforce. And it's been a big part of what the environmental groups have been really pushing and railing on the industry about, still having this continued problem of rainforest destruction and animal destruction and so on. So these are just some additional pictures, slide 7, showing some of the devastation that's going on in Indonesia. And one of the other key things that organic farming does is it keeps glyphosate, which is Roundup, out of the environmental system, which enables you to grow other crops and creates a much healthier ecosystem. So if we go to slide 9, we're talking about now palm that's farmed sustainably. You can see some photos here. Slide 9, slide 10 shows what happens with the soil when you're growing cover crops that increase the nitrogen content. You would not see this in conventional farming. You have essentially pretty bare ground around the trees. And here you're seeing soil enrichment, which also holds moisture better and provides nutrients for the plants. In slide 11, you can see what a healthy palm forest looks like when it's being grown organically. Slide 12, this is one of our farmers. We've had a number of trips that we've taken with folks from the United States and from